Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is March 24th, 2022. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Welcome, Bara. Welcome, Frankie. Welcome, Blue Rock. And QHFIS FXC. And thank you for sharing the show. And this show will be hosted by Bahram New. Welcome, Juju. Welcome, Rena. Okay, I'm going to stop. And I am going to get ready to pass it over to the hosts, Bahram, and welcome, Roxy. So this is Bahram's show, so he can tell you what it's about. And Bahram, I turn the mic over to you. Bahram, are you there? Okay, let's see. Made Man, welcome. I see Bahram is here. Okay, hold on. Let's do this again.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Okay, good.
Oh,
I turn the mic over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Solid Blue. It's an honor and privilege to host your show again. And thank you for everyone who's already joined. Tonight's show is going to be a bit different. I've chose a topic that I hold close to my heart, the flat earth theory, because as I said, it's my first red pill moment, if you want. It got me questioning life itself. You know, I went on a journey for the past 5 or 6 years, looking into conspiracies, looking into religious beliefs, and all this other things. And to me, flat Earth is one of those topics that definitely gets a lot of people's. It brings out the best and the worst in people. I talk about it in canteens at work because it's definitely an icebreaker, a conversation starter. But the reaction I've had from certain people has been very, people don't like to talk about this one. And I don't know why, because I think it should be a light-hearted topic. I think everyone talks about aliens and UFO sightings. It's like a light-hearted, spooky type conversation. And I think Flat Earth has been given a bad rap. So the reason I chose Flat Earth out of all the conspiracies was because I don't think you don't have to go down the rabbit hole and look into it. I think everyone knows we've seen pictures of the Earth and throughout our lives we were taught about it in schools. So I think everyone that jumps up on the panel tonight will have they'll have their say. And what I want to bring to the show tonight is critical thought, questioning your own beliefs, and just seeing how thick your skin is. And I've got thick skin, so please don't hold back if you think I'm being stupid or anything like that. Everything I say here, I hope people go away and fact check me, but let's just have fun with it and see where it takes us. So I don't know if you want to open up the lines for any callers, or I'll start with my opening statement and people can go on to it from there.
Okay, I do want to tell you guys that Podbean is acting funny. So if you guys want to join, you're going to have to ask. I'm not able to invite. So if you all want to join in, you'll have to, Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so I'll just start with my beliefs on the subject, and if anyone wants to call in or you want to rebuttal, solid, feel free. So for me, we live on a flat Earth. I believe that the what keeps the water in, because that's the first question I'll probably be asked, is Antarctica. I don't believe it's a continent. I believe it is a wall. Like if anyone on in the show has watched Game of Thrones, you'll see in the opening credits the wall, the ice wall. They're basically, that's a depiction of Antarctica. Um, so that's all around us, and it keeps the water in. The center of the flat Earth is the North Pole, which is the reason why compasses always point north, because the North Pole is the most magnetized part of our Earth. And it goes to show when you get further south, the compass dies out, and in the South Pole, which is Antarctica, compasses don't work. Um, there are tons of examples of proofs. Flight paths, the very, the way we fly flat and straight. And if you take the curvature of the Earth into consideration, if any of you guys, I'd be interested to know if any of you guys even know the numbers of the globe, like how big we are, the diameter, the circumference. So when you know those numbers, you also know the curvature of any ball, whether it's a golf ball, a football, the earth. You can work out the curvature using maths. So our earth is 267,000 miles. So you can work out that it's 8 inches of miles, 8 inches squared per mile. So that means the first mile you have 8 inches of curvature. The second would be 16. Then the third would be 32 because it doubles because it's squared. So one of my favorite proofs to throw out there is that we can see too far. And the example that always gets thrown about when you're debating flat Earth is it's often possible to see the Chicago skyline from sea level. Because remember, when you're looking, when you're taking photos or zooming across to prove the flat Earth, you have to do it over sea, because obviously on ground you can have hills, mountains, buildings in the way, so you have to do it across sea. So the Chicago skyline can be seen from sea level 60 miles away across Lake Michigan. In 2015, photographer Joshua Nowicki captured this phenomenon. According to the curvature formula, 8 inches per square mile, Chicago should be hidden by 2,400 feet. And there's the picture there to follow that I've got up. I've saved all these. I have a folder on my phone with flat Earth proofs that I just bring up now and again to kind of. But that is my favorite proof that we can clearly see too far across water. So I don't know if you've anything to add so far, or if anyone wants to join the conversation.
okay, I do want to join the conversation. And again, you guys, if you guys want to come up, you'll have to call in. I cannot invite, but I can let you in.
Because I guess this topic is quite, for a lot of people, maybe you haven't even heard about flat Earth, and if you have, you must think it's the most stupidest theory ever, and I totally get that. So to me, it's fun. I'm dying to hear some of the reactions and some of the questions that I get asked.
Well, this is the question that I have, and again, Petty Deb and I, we were talking about this last week when you gave your topic, and she made a good point. You know, when you look at the Earth from space, it is round. Okay, and then I started, doing some research on it, and they're saying, well, is it oval? Is it kind of odd shaped? But is it really flat? And just because you can look across, the ocean and you see miles and miles of water, that's just, to me, that's just saying how big the Atlantic Ocean is, how big the Pacific Ocean is. But I don't think that if you just keep walking and walking and walking, you'll eventually fall off the face of the earth.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I think the biggest. I mean, that is obviously one of the first questions you ask because we see pictures of it all the time. We see it pretty much at the start of every movie. The universal logo is the Earth, and you know, what I will say is NASA. They get so much money every year in taxpayer dollars, and what we are seeing are CGI. It's composite images, and they even admit that. They say that we can never get a clear picture of the Earth from space, so we have to basically make it up, and they'll tell you that. Like there's plenty of interviews and things where they'll say that. Also, see when you guys go on an aeroplane, the windows on those aeroplanes are fisheye lens windows. So there's pictures to kind of prove what I'm saying is when you're sat on the runway and the yellow markings on the runway, the lines, if you was to look at the corner of those fisheye lens windows and look at the yellow line, that yellow line will look curved. It'll completely bend like a circle because it's a fisheye lens that they have installed. So anyone who says when they're up in a 300,000 feet or 3,000 feet in the air when they're flying to a different country, you'll never see the curvature from that height, even if the world was a globe. Mike deGrasse Tyson, I almost said Mike Tyson there. He even confirmed that you would need to be outer space to see the curvature of the Earth if it was there. So anyone who comes on and says that they've seen it from an airplane, what they're actually seeing is the fisheye lens distorting the view. And I've got tons of even like images from people at a beach, maybe up high in a tower, and you take a picture out over the ocean, and at the very edges of the photo, it's curved, and it's not that the curvature is that close. It's just that the camera lens that they're using is called fisheye lens camera. Hello,
So Petty Deb says, "Who is they?"
who do you mean by they?
I think because you just said when you look out of the airplane out of the fisheye lens, you're saying they.
If
So Petty
if you
Deb
don't
wants to
mind,
know who is they.
if you don't mind
I
me
just
stepping
mean
in,
people.
yeah,
Yeah, on you go, dude. On you go.
I would believe that Bahrain would be clearly speaking about anybody whose argument would be looking out the window and seeing the air quote curvature of the Earth. So any types, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Who's they? Let's stay on
Yeah,
topic.
that's what I mean. Like pass. I mean, we've. I mean, I've been on holiday to America and things, and when you look out those windows over the sea or whatever, because you're looking through a fisheye lens window of the plane, you're gonna see curvature, but that curvature isn't there. If those windows were clear lens, you wouldn't see it. And the same with the images that we are being shown. The blue marble is the most famous picture that we have of the globe, and it's completely made up. It's composite images put together. Um, and even like this is the type of thing they do where they repeat cloud patterns in that image. So the cloud patterns, if you look underneath Southern America, they're the same. They're just copy and pasted. So it's I know this is the part where it sounds pretty nefarious because then you have to think about agencies, government agencies, and NASA's working against us and lying to us, but that is the case. Um, People have believed in flat Earth for way longer than people have believed in globe Earth. It was only up until the 1500s that people started believing in the globe, and then even up until the early 1900s, flat Earth was still being taught in some countries, more so in the Asian, Chinese. The Chinese still taught flat Earth up until I think 1930, 1940. So it's actually the opposite way around. The globe Earth is the new theory, but it's and the reason so, and I think we've got a lot of religious people in. I know you are solid blue. It's actually connected to religion because there's a lot of Bible verses that talk about a firmament being over the earth, the four corners of the earth, And I know it's got that kind of connection to it. And for me, the biggest reason why we are being lied to about the shape of the Earth is because if we live on a flat Earth, it proves 100% that we are created, and the whole Big Bang theory and evolution and dinosaurs and that goes out the window, which is, it's an agenda in itself, because when you believe we're living on a spinning ball, you'll also believe in climate change, you'll also believe in the chance that we might be struck by a comet or a meteor one day. So it's not just the ball and the flat earth, it's a whole belief system that encompasses that.
Correct. I couldn't agree with you more. And if you don't mind me taking just 15 seconds to add something, I'm reading here from Google, like everybody else has, that the sphericity of the Earth was established by Greek astronomy in the 3rd century BC. And so, my question is for the globe people, if I can say it that way, why are we considered archaic when your belief system is from the 3rd century BC? And then why, as science as a whole, would you take something that is supposed to be a law? I don't even prefer to word it that way. I mean, it's really not a law now, is it? Why would you take this scientific law and from 3rd century BC and apply it to modern day science now? And then on top of that, why would ancient science be in congruency with modern day air quote technology that can air quote land something on Mars? Air quote.
Um, if I can add to that,
Yeah, on you go.
for the religious people, all right. So for the Big Bang theory, as Baram spoke about, funny enough, if you guys do your research, remember, religious people believe that we're created by God and all of that. Which fair enough. I don't disbelieve there's not a creator. There is. But the point I'm trying to make is the Big Bang theory was that concept came from a pope. And if you listen to me carefully, a pope, P-O-P-E, I think that's what it's spelled. Yeah, the Big Bang theory was introduced by a pope. I don't have the direct here. I can look in my phone because I have the screenshot of it. So there's a lot of thing about it. It's very tricky. It's a very very interesting topic. I like the topic because it's very fascinating. Also, space. I don't think space do exist because they always tell you about the Van Halen belt. I think Baram and the dude should know about what the Van Halen belt is. It's a radioactive kind of belt that nothing can pass through, and that's above the atmosphere. So, if that's above the atmosphere, how do you? Why do they say they go out of space or they travel beyond the atmosphere if you can't pass the Van Halen belt? The next topic, I don't want to say it's like a flat Earth, Baram. Even though I like both concept, the flat Earth and the sphere, but I like the firmament aspect more. It's more. I like that aspect more with the dome and the fact that yes, we're on a plane surface, which it's very weird to word it. So, for instance, you have fuck. What just happened to my phone?
We can still.
Oh, sorry. My phone just flashed a while ago. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so it's like a ball that you cut in half, and the bottom half is like the ocean, the different layers of whatever you want to call it, hell, depths, or whatever, and then we're in between. We're on the top of the ocean, and then you have the firmament, sorry, above, which consists of hell, heaven, and higher levels of I don't want to say consciousness, but God. That's how they word it. And if you know what I'm talking about, right, Baram and Sean, the dude.
Yep. Yeah,
Mhm.
totally. Yep. I know there is two theories to the flat Earth, and the reason for that is obviously because we don't have the funding and the money that NASA has, and I don't even know if there's anyone willing to put themselves out there to go and prove it. Like when you try to go to Antarctica, I think the cheapest flight to Antarctica is like $11,000, and when you go there, you're met by security and you're escorted around. You're not allowed to wander off on your own. And the Antarctica is protected under the Antarctic Treaty signed in 1954 by all the major countries of the world: China, Russia, America, UK, Israel. So it's heavily guarded. There are research facilities there, and the only person I know of was Admiral Byrd, who said that he climbed it. I think it was 1930 something. He was on one of these American TV shows, and I've seen that interview plenty of times, where he said he climbed the wall and he kept walking and he found land at the other side of the wall bigger than America. So it's quite cryptic, and believe what you will on that, because I know there are two theories on the flat Earth. One is that we are just in a huge, endless ocean, and if you was to sail or over the wall and keep going, you could just find more land. Or are we on in a vacuum, in a space, like a floating rock with a dome over us, so that no one can get in, no one can get out? I know that sounds kind of funny, but I mean there are plenty evidences and proofs and things. Operation Fishbowl was carried out in the 60s, where the American military shot missiles straight up into the sky. And if you watch the footage, you kind of see the missiles hit something and disperse like as if they were fireworks. So it's like, are they hitting a solid barrier? And I know there's pop references like in The Simpsons, where they have that episode that they encase Springfield with like a dome, a glass dome. So that's kind of like what we imagine that the Earth could be like. But certainly for me, the numbers don't add up to the globe. And one of my favorite proofs to add, and again, I'm not religious, but the globe model, almost every number that encompasses that can be converted into 666 or some occult type number. So we have 8 inches per square mile of curvature. Well, that in feet is 0.666 feet. We spin at 1,000 miles per hour. Well, if you convert that into kilometers, it's 66,600 kilometers per hour. There's tons of this throughout. I think the North Pole and the South Pole are situated at 66.6 degrees north and 66.6 degrees south, and they move 33 feet every year. So it's numbers like that when you know the Bible and you know the Book of Revelations and the 666, the mark of the beast, they've basically created a globe model full of satanic numbers and occult numbers to keep us from knowing that we are created by a creator and that our world is perfect and all that stuff. And they can also then control us using fear tactics with meteors, climate change, what have you. So I'll pass the mic. Hi, Chill. Thanks for joining us. Do you have anything to add? I'm sure you do. Chill, are you there?
Okay, Chill may have gotten a phone call. When he goes silent like that, he usually has a phone call or something.
Okay.
So, but
Solid.
I do have a question. I'm listening. I listened to what Dude was saying. And what Mate Man was saying. So, okay, I know you're mainly talking about the Earth. So, would you say that would you say that it's just the Earth that is flat, or would you also say that any other planet is also flat, or is this just mainly the Earth? And
sorry.
okay, and again, I still want to know is, do you believe that if you just continue walking, whatever, that eventually you would fall off.
So I'm glad you asked that question, and I'm not poking fun at you, but this question is usually the first question you get asked. So if we're flat, does that mean all the other planets are flat? And that is one of my main messages that I talk about on my show, and when I discuss any conspiracy with anyone, whether it be 9/11 or COVID or anything, is the questioning kind of shows how dumb we are. And I'm not saying you're dumb at all, not at all, but I think these types of questions show how our education system has failed us, because basically what you're saying there is if you walk into a supermarket and you point to a banana and say, well, that can't be a fruit because every other fruit is a sphere. You've got grapes, oranges, tomatoes, lemons, they're spherical, limes, but this banana is like that's how people, when they ask me that, that's how they sound to me. Because we're also told that some of these planets can't sustain life. Some of these planets don't have water. The temperatures are crazy. Some have rings around them. So you can't use that, because if we were created and you're a religious person, you can't say that just because every other planet is a sphere that we have to be as well. My opinion is that there is no such thing as space. There's no, these planets don't exist. We are the only thing. It's just us. So when they say about landing in Mars and Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto, to me, it's nonsense. But I'll stick to the flat Earth stuff. And then, when you're talking about walking and falling off the edge, no, I think it's with the two theories. You have the ice wall. So when you sail to the edge, the wall is way, way, way higher than the boats. Like in the Game of Thrones, you see the height of them. That's probably the height of them, and you would have to, climb them or get a flight to land on them. And then what happens after that, I don't know. Obviously, it could be that there's more land on the other side or more water, or we could be in a dome. I think obviously it would have been better if people knew about because we do have a model. There's a flat Earth model that kind of answers more of these questions better than the globe does, with flight patterns even. There's a book being written about emergency landings. The famous example was a woman on board was pregnant and her waters broke and they had to emergency land the flight, and they landed, I think, in Alaska, and it was nowhere near where they should have been if we were living on a spinning ball. And there's countless examples of the flight paths from, say, South Africa to Australia. Well, on the globe, that's just round the corner over water. But what you'll find is every flight that goes from South Africa to Australia usually does a midway landing in Saudi Arabia or Dubai or somewhere. And that doesn't make no sense at all on a ball. But on a flat Earth, that's a straight line. So we'll see if is Chillwell back. Chill.
Hold on for a second. Gain, do you want to come up and talk, because I know you have a lot of you have a lot of comments here that I'm going to read. And you said, like, I assume you've all been in a plane, right? You accept that as reality. You don't think we can go higher. And then you also said a lot of stuff going on here in the chat. So please give me a moment. You said something about the Antarctica. You also say at what altitude, do flat earthers stop believing? So would you like to come up and take the mic, Gain? Why am I able to navigate day or night using the sun and the moon and the stars with a very high level of precision in accordance with the widely accepted model of the universe. So Gain, again, do you want to come up and talk? I'll invite you again. So those are some questions, Bob, that you may want to address before you pass the mic, because we have a lot going on in the chat.
Okay, thanks for keeping an eye on them. I'm just talking away here. If Dude Sean or Maid wants to answer that one, feel free. I know the daylight nighttime, question would be an easier one to answer, because on a flat earth, well, let's say, for example, you take your table surface that you're probably sitting at right now and take out a torch and hold it 3 inches above that table and turn off all the lights in the room. The whole table won't illuminate. It'll just be a certain area. And that's because our sun is more than likely only 3,000 miles away from our surface, and not millions and millions of miles away like they're telling us. So when you look at the flat earth model, the sun and the moon are constantly above us, circling the earth, and there's an inner ring and an outer ring.
I'm sorry, Bob. Let me interrupt you for a moment. The Ralph William podcast, we mute on this show when other people are talking, because we hear the background noise. So thank you. Okay, Bob, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So there's an inner ring and an outer ring, and the inner ring is the ring of Cancer, and the outer ring is the ring of Capricorn. And when it's summer in the northern hemisphere, it's on the inner ring, and when it's winter, it's on the outer ring. And that's what causes daylight and nighttime. A better way of describing this is, when I learned about flat Earth, I was told by who I listen to podcast wise, to when you're listening about flat Earth, create 3 columns. Column 1 would be works only on a flat Earth. Column 2 works only on a globe, and column 3 works on both. And what you'll find is you won't find anything that only works on a globe. It'll either only work on a flat Earth, or it can work on both. And that's what I found. Every question that the guys will ask tonight, if I can't answer it, the answer will be there, because it's just way more, it's more believable. And I know that might be hard for a lot of people to understand, to believe, until they go and look into it, which I advise everyone to do, because it's the most freeing of all the conspiracies. When you believe in flat Earth, a lot of the world's division and things kind of crumbles, and it's quite a fun thing, and it gives you a lot of satisfaction type to know that we are created, and that we're not just a happy accident like the Big Bang Theory. And Maid was totally right. It was a pope that began the Big Bang Theory, and it is still just a theory. And that's what you have to remember. Gravity is still just a theory, and a poor one at that, because to be a theory, you have to have repeatable experiments and a conclusion and a hypotenuse. Hypotenuse? You have to have all those things, and with gravity, it misses the mark. And what explains gravity more than anything is density and buoyancy, which means if it's heavier than air, it'll fall, and if it's lighter, it'll float. And that's density and buoyancy, not gravity. So we've got Ralph Williams here. Cheers, bud. Thanks for joining. And I know Chill's been, I don't know if you're back, Chill, but if you are, have you got anything to add? If not, I'll move on to Ralph. Okay, well, we'll move on to Ralph. Ralph, are you there?
Hey, how are you? I just want to say thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. I just have a question. I don't know if you covered it, or if it's a right question, but in terms of gravitational pull and magnetic fields, I don't know if that's the case. Maybe if you could explain it. Is that something that could only occur in a sphere, or is that something that can happen on a flat, like you say, flat Earth? Like, wouldn't that justify the round Earth?
Yeah, it could do. I know there's a lot of flat earthers that believe in that it's magnetism. The North Pole, I did mention at the start of the show, the North Pole is the the most magnetized part of our Earth, and it goes to show because compasses always point north, and when you go further and further south to the South Pole, even compasses don't work. So a lot of flat earthers will say that what gravity is just magnetism. That's something that I haven't really focused my, when I looked into flat earth, this was like 2018, and I spent like 8 months like every day looking into flat earth, so I'm kind of rusty on it. But the gravity theory was created in 1666. Again, there's the 666 by Sir Isaac Newton, and to me it's I mean, this is just how my brain works. But like I've mentioned here before, like we lose the childlike innocent, the questions that children ask nowadays. We need to start listening to our children. Like, I'm not changing the topic, but like with COVID, it's a childlike question to say, Mom, why is the homeless man still sitting there? But I thought COVID was here. Surely he would be, he would have been gone by now. But it's questions like that I value. And when I heard about gravity for the first time in my life, I'm thinking, so basically this guy saw an apple fall down and said, I'm going to call that gravity. And now we love him. We worship this guy. To me, it sounded a bit stupid. And that really is what it is. This guy, Sir Isaac Newton, saw an apple fall from a tree and says, I'm going to name this law, which it isn't. It's just density and buoyancy, gravity. And he got all the accolades for it. But it's not provable. It's not testable. Again, I couldn't say whether it's something that, the force, the number that gravity is said to be at, if that would work on a flat earth or not. It obviously does, because I believe we live in a flat earth. But it could be magnetism, but ultimately it's why things fall, density and buoyancy.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Wait, May. I'm sorry. Let me just interrupt because again, I'm reading the stuff that's in the chat. But Class 1 probe says, so if the government nose is flat, why do they want us to believe it's round?
Yeah, well, that's what I've said a few times. I don't know if Class Probe was must say it's basically the whole they're encompassing every belief we have. If you believe we live on a spinning ball, you're more likely to believe in evolution. You're more likely to believe in the Big Bang Theory. You're more likely to believe in climate change. You're going to be constantly living in fear. It seems like every year they're talking about, oh, there's a comet headed towards us, or the world's going to end. All that kind of stuff is involved with the globe model, and probably more than that. But those are the ones that I can think of at the top of my head. And then when you believe in the flat earth, you know that we were created by a creator, and that our earth is perfect and it's sustainable, and it's not, going to be under attack by any aliens or climate change or meteors or anything like that. So that's why.
Neither can it be overpopulated as well. So that's another factor that they keep pushing our topic. But as for Ralph, as I wanted to say, sorry. All right, so there are specific places on the Earth that gravity, I don't want to say the falling type of gravity, that doesn't apply. There's a place in Africa. Water normally spirals like clockwise. There's a part in Africa that it goes anti-clockwise. So you do the maths on that. So it's like it's on the border of two countries on the equator. On one half, the water goes clockwise, and if you move to the other part of where the line is, the water goes anti-clockwise, so it goes in a reverse motion because they have like a funnel that they do it as a tourist attraction and stuff like that. So magnetism and gravity weird because here in Jamaica, I can tell you this was shown to me by a Chinese man. So we were heading to the countryside and we're going down a hill, and he's like, how much can I bet him that he parks the truck down the tail of the truck, sorry, the front, is face downwards the hill, down towards the hill. And he said if he lifts up the handbrake, the truck should be going forward, right? When he lifts up the handbrake, the truck is going backwards, like literally going climbing backwards up the hill. I was like, the fuck is this? I was very surprised. I was shocked. I was like, yeah, and he said he did it to most of his friends, as a little gesture when they're going to the countryside and he's betting them and winning some money and stuff like that. So me and my friends were driving past the same spot, and I told them about it. They were talking a hell lot of shit, and I said, "All right, yo, I have my credibility and I have money to lose. Why not try it?" When we did, and they saw it, trust me, there was like a traffic jam on the toll road because we were on a toll. People stopping and asking what are we doing or if we need assistance, and no, we told them about it and they were like we're lying, and then when they tried, everybody started trying it. I was like, yo, how is this, how did it work or what's going on here? So there's a lot of things that can disprove magnetism, gravitational pull. There's a lot, but as I said, Baram said, we're being indoctrinated and predictive programming. So what we've grown up to see is what we're gonna follow. That consensus. We're not gonna try to think.
So now I'm not trying to I'm not disproving or anything. I'm just asking questions because I don't know anything about this, it's just very interesting. I just wanted to know if you had any insight on this. What about in for like astronaut training? I don't know if they have these, but I'm assuming like they would have these simulation rooms where they can. Is it possible that they can remove gravity from the room so they can understand out
That
gravity?
that's something that
I don't know if that has anything.
that
I don't know if that has anything to do
that's
with
something
flat
if
Earth.
you
I was
watch.
just asking.
That's something if you watch that for yourself, you'll see a ton of mishaps. You'll see a ton of air bubbles. You'll see a lot of things. It's they have like a pool. I don't know what to call it. It's like a submersible pool that's very deep, dark. But Barham can take over that.
Yeah, you're right, mate. There are a few these leaked photographs, but I mean, I think it's kind of well documented now. And even not only the pool, I think when they have their astronaut gear on, it is in this dark, deep pool, and you see air bubbles. And I think Joe Rogan spoke about that on his show as well. But also when they're in those, um, looks like the inside of a rocket or an airship. There's like wires, trip wires going down there and attaching to their trousers, and there's obviously been a load of mishaps with that as well. It's funny because I don't know if any of you guys were on Jester's show. This is maybe about a month ago, where the topic turned to flat Earth, and I called in. And a funny, one of the funniest moments I've had during my Podbean time is I called in, and I think Shannon was on the panel, Michael Key, Jester, and they were talking about flat Earth. And Shannon said that she knew a family of astronauts where all of them were astronauts. And I turned around and said, are they also Freemasons? And she says, yeah, but what's that got to do with it? And everyone just burst out laughing. And it was like, because that is, the main belief that Buzz Aldrin and, Neil Armstrong, and they're all Freemasons, which is, I know we're not changing the subject here, but the whole,
So you're saying that
these
all
organizations,
astronauts are Freemasons
yeah. And I'm sure you've
just
seen the,
to just to keep everything hidden?
yeah. So, I mean, I'm
Okay,
sure you've seen
gotcha.
the footage of Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong being asked to swear on the Bible that they landed on the moon. And I think it's Buzz, he ends up punching the reporter, and they won't do it because they know, like, when you're a Freemason, you're supposed to believe in God and things in the early levels, and then so you're never going to swear on the Bible, um, because it didn't
There's a
happen.
there's a good point in the chat that Renee brung up asking, what about women astronauts? Is there Freemason women?
Yeah, there's Eastern
Yes.
Star. There's other cults like women. Same way as well. There's also a black Freemason type secret called the Boule. I was actually going to send Solid Blue that. It might have been interesting and chill. I think they might be interested in that. I've heard a few podcasts on the Boule Society, and I think there are people like Jay-Z, Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, those
Shaquille
types.
O'Neal.
Actually, a lot of times
Yeah,
their covers
Shaquille.
is purple and gold, and you can pick them out. But their involvement is any kind of like thing that looks like St. Louis and or Eiffel Tower because of the French,
Yeah.
and because of the obelisk, like a rectal shape, because it's
Yeah.
man versus God, it's man building, man's architect, man dancing, man versus God, man's theory,
Mhm.
man's philosophy, man. But look what happened. We
Mhm.
obviously don't have all
Yeah.
the answers. Look at our world. It turned into
Awesome.
poop.
Mhm. Awesome. Yes, I mean there is a dark side to it because to understand this, you have to think that there are people in our world that are hiding things from us, and I think most people have that in them anyway. They know our governments can be corrupt, but it's when it goes down that path, you have to. It is a bit scary, and it's not where I wanted to bring this show out. I kind of wanted to stay on the light-hearted,
You're talking my
talking about
language.
yeah, yeah.
You're talking my language.
Um,
I do have another question, and I'm sorry. It just this is how I work.
no,
I,
go
I
for it.
constantly ask questions. This is not out of like threatening you guys. It's just me out of my ignorance. I'm trying to figure it out. So, how do you explain the constant launches of satellites? When they launch satellites into space, is that something where it's one way ticket? Do they do any maintenance work on them? Because they would need to do maintenance work on them to keep them up there, right? Or they just shoot them up there and it won't come back, right? It'll probably just end up breaking down. Or,
Yeah,
Well,
my understanding about those are that they are just, is it blips? We don't say that here in the UK, but do you call them blimps? Like balloons that hover for a while?
Correct.
They are blimps. Blimps.
Blimps, yeah. So
Mhm.
so there are tons of footage of these being. You can actually go on Google or YouTube and type in satellite being launched, and it's just some facility throwing this up attached to a balloon, and they'll go up for so long, and then they'll land in someone's back garden, and there's plenty of photos of that happening. But for me, that is another great question. And what I always say with GPS, do you guys ever like get frustrated that you run out of signal when you're driving long distance? You might be in the country and your phone has no signal, or your sat nav doesn't recognize. You know, if there was all these satellites in space, for one, where are the pictures of them? Because there's a meme that floats around the flat Earth community where it's like if there was a real photo taken from space, you would see literally hundreds of thousands of these satellites in the way of the Earth, like all around it, and you don't. And the other thing is satellite, like GPS and that, it's underground. It's pipes and lines and wires and cables that are put under our ground. Hence why we don't get signal when we're in the countryside because they haven't dug up that ground and laid these pipes. Again, guys, when I'm saying these things, if any of you are like rolling your eyes, and it may sound as if I've got an answer for everything and trying to be a smart aleck, this stuff's out there. It's not, I'm not getting this stuff from dark webs or anything like that. It's all out there. People have dedicated their lives to the flat Earth theory and to getting this knowledge out there and wrote books and made documentaries. So, yeah.
when Renee in the chat says she's a lot interested in what's going on below Earth, so just in the nature of it, is if it's around, if the Earth is round, it would make it for more deeper. How do you say it? Like deeper center of an Earth. But if it's flat, there's a lot less space to go. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm saying it the right way. Like Because it's flatter, there's not a lot of wiggle room to go into the deep core of the Earth, right? There would be different mileage. I don't know, different miles.
I do know the biggest hole ever dug was 8 miles, and that's a trippy video to watch in itself. I don't know if it relates to flat Earth. I think it was over in China. They dug a hole 8 miles, and there's a video that freaks me out. I still think about it to the day. But they seemingly sent like cameras or men down, and they recorded like some really spooky sounds, like ghosts and screams, and like it was just weird. But I mean, I've never looked into it other than watch that video. Someone showed me it, maybe at work, and it was like watched it, and then that was it. But to me, like, you know, the ball Earth where they have the inner core, and I mean, even mainstream media are talking in the last few months about hollow Earth. They're saying that, you know, they're trying to go in that direction, saying that maybe the Earth is bigger than we imagined, and changing the goalposts. And I mean, that even goes to show as well. People with these new cameras that you can buy in the shop now, that is it the Nikon or is it the Nikon 9000 or something like that? They're about $1,000 to buy. So people are like zooming into the moon and seeing like details and going like, well, my camera says that it'll only zoom this amount, but you're telling me the moon's like hundreds of thousands of miles away. How is this possible? So in 2019, in February, NASA came out and said that the moon now comes into the Earth's atmosphere and leaves again now and again. And it's like you're just changing the goalposts. The same with Neil deGrasse Tyson, when the flat earthers were pointing out that we could see across water too far. Like we could see, you know, the Jesus statue in Brazil, that famous statue. People were going down to the beach and zooming across water and seeing that statue, and it should be hidden by curvature. So Neil deGrasse Tyson's coming out and saying, oh, actually, the Earth's not a sphere. It's actually oblate in the middle. It's like a pear shape. And it's all because of the experiments and the, you know, the research that the flat Earth people, you know, people like me, and although I've never done any research experiments, there are a lot of people out there doing them, and they now have to change their story because they're being found out.
Excellent. Bahram, I'm so glad you mentioned something about NASA changing their distance for the moons and the atmosphere. I knew it was around that time. I wasn't sure the right dates. I'm so glad you said something. In fact, I was getting ready to jump off mute for the last several minutes. So what my question was based around that was, if the moon is now claimed to be within our atmosphere, how did they gauge the distance before when they supposedly landed on it? If they didn't have the right mileage, they would have missed it clearly. And then two, why is there no gravity if they're still within our atmosphere?
Yeah.
Because they lied.
Yeah. Chill, are you there yet, bud? Or I'll move on to Crucible. I know Crucible's joined us, but Chill hasn't spoke yet. I don't know if he's there. Chill?
I don't think he is there,
No.
so you should go on the Crucible.
Okay, Crucible, how are you tonight? Hope you're well.
Hey, Ba, how are you? Thanks for having me. Fascinating topic. I'm going to ask a micro, excuse me, I'm asking a macro question because I'm not nearly smart enough to ask a micro question like a lot of these people have been doing. What exactly, I mean, in terms of a theory, a flat earth theory versus a spinning globe theory, have you posited or have you done any research as to what is better for us as a society or as a planet? Are there some outcomes that are better for us if the Earth is flat versus if it's a spinning globe? I mean, what are the implications? And what is the end game? The second question, what is the end game for the flat earthers? I mean, what exactly are they trying to accomplish? Is this just a kind of I told you so, or is this a kind of a reordering of the solar system or the way we look at our place in the galaxy? I mean, what exactly is the end game for the flat Earth group?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. And I think it's quite similar to one that was asked earlier about like why are they lying to us? Why would they hide that we're actually living on a flat Earth? And to me, I'm not a religious person. I don't believe in the Bible or any of the religious indoctrine, in my opinion. But I do believe in a creator. I believe the Big Bang Theory is probably the most silliest theory that is out there, that we are just some happy accident and that we can be affected by meteors and comets and climate change and that dinosaurs once roamed the earth and all that stuff. And I think that is, hopefully, I don't know if that answers your question, but basically when you know that it's a flat earth we live on and that it's created perfectly, and you know that we're created by someone or something, you're kind of since learning about flat earth, it's given me a sense of like, I don't know if I've talked about this on the show before, but my biggest phobia, apart from roller coasters, was death. And when I learned that people die when I was like 4 years of age, which I believe is far too young, but blame my grandparents for that. I think they let me watch ET and it freaked me out, and then I don't know, but anyway, um throughout my young adult life, throughout my teens and my early 20s, I was like petrified of death, the unknown. And with flat earth, you're created by something, so we're not just an accident. And I know that people that are conspiracy theorists, and there are different types. There are people who are just COVID awake, who've just woke up because of COVID and they maybe don't know the deeper stuff. But what I found is on Telegram, which is a great app, it's like WhatsApp, but it's got loads of groups, and some of these groups have hundreds of thousands of people in them. I've been privy to some groups on there that are very deep, very conspiracy theorists that have been in the game for decades. And what you'll find when you go into those groups, and they're very well constructed, they've got notes on everything they post, they've got headlines and subtitles and hashtags. So all you need to do is type in, let's say, flat earth, or let's say 9/11, and it'll bring up tons of stuff. What you'll find when you go into these groups is almost everyone in that group is a flat earther, and almost everyone in that group believes in God, believes in the Bible, where I'm not there, and I don't think I will, because I think the Bible and the Talmud, the Torah, the Quran, I think these books are books of slavery to keep us enslaved and keep us well behaved, which serves the purpose of the elites for the most part. But ultimately, when you believe in flat Earth, it's a very freeing. It gives you kind of hope, and it. I mean, it's evident for me. I don't want to come across as condescending, but we do live in a flat Earth. There's no way we live in a spinning water ball. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but
yeah, you did, Bob. Would it be fair to say that I'm kind of jumping around a little bit here? Then, would it be fair to say then, as a subscriber to the flat Earth theory, that you would not be a believer in the Big Bang theory?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think would stand to reason. Okay.
Ian, before you
Okay.
go on with more people talking, and I know you do want to say something. I just wanted to bring up something that Area 1 podcast asked: how many flat earthers have actually been to space? Serious question. So
Sorry, I do know Area 81. I thought he was actually joking there. So forgive me. I mean, I dare say there wouldn't be any, because like I said earlier in the show, you have to be a Freemason to be, anywhere close to a rocket, to NASA. And what I do know, and what I can tell you, is there are pilots who fly airplanes every day who are flat earthers. I think one of my favorite podcasts interviewed a KLM pilot, and it was a woman. I can't remember her name, but she was actually dismissed from her job and was asked to seek counseling because she was going around telling people on her social media that we fly across a flat earth. And he had her on our show, and she said that amongst pilots, it's a well-known topic. They talk about it all the time. And it's kind of in hushed tones. They talk about it in the canteen while they're having their lunch or whatever. And even on the subject of flying, in the handbook, when you're a pilot, and people have screenshotted and got the book, the how to be a pilot. and the official, government one, and it says on there, assume as if you were flying across a flat plane. And even the instrument, and someone can move, because I always forget the name of this instrument that is built into a plane to keep it level. Is it a gyroscope? Am I getting that wrong? A gyroscope is built into a plane, and it keeps the plane at 0 degrees. So when a plane's turning, the captain, all he needs to do is set the steering wheel, or whatever it's called, to 10 degrees, to the side, or whatever side, and then back to level again. So again, when you use the maths of the globe, because we obviously, it sounds contradictive of me, but you're going to use the globe model numbers to disprove it. So you have to say, well, 8 inches of 8 inches of curvature per square mile. If you were on a plane traveling, I think I have an example here. Hold on, bear with me, where, the FAA assumes a flat Earth when training pilots using their target generation facility. An airplane traveling 500 miles per hour would have to compensate for a drop of 2,777 feet every minute to maintain cruising altitude and not fly off into space. So that's what I'm saying. I've always joked about bringing a level on a plane with me and sitting it on my tray. I know it's just a joke, but it's like the Earth isn't that big. I know it's a huge place, and it is huge to us. But when you think about it in the maths and the numbers that we're told that we live on, it doesn't work. Does anyone ever chill? Are you there? Keep trying to chill.
Chill is when Chill will come back on when he comes back.
Yeah.
May, I think May wanted to say something.
Okay, go, mate.
I was just referring to Crucible Man, talking about ooh uh evolution. That's was it? No. What was it that we were talking about with the
I mentioned the Big Bang Theory at the end of my
yeah, the
question. I
Big
don't know if
Bang,
that's what
yeah,
you're
the
talking
Big Bang Theory. Yeah. So if you research the Big Bang Theory, that concept came about from a pope, a Christian person, a person of beliefs in faith and God and all of that. The Big Bang Theory came from that individual, a pope. So you can do your research on that, and then you'll see why he came about that concept and where he came from with it, because he was in a very dark time in his life, and that's something you can look for yourself. But in the Bible, because you're a person of faith, I believe it speaks about firmament and a lot of stuff, pillars. And why would they talk about pillars, the earth being a pillar, land mass and stuff like that? So this is I'm I'm just fascinated by the whole concept. I like the concept, and anything that has to discredit the government, that's me. So anything that has to discredit government and their stronghold that they have on humanity, I'm very much against that. Gain, you're there talking a lot of stuff. I don't want to say you're talking a lot of crap, but if you come up and you can talk and more be verbal so we can understand what you're saying and where you're coming from, because I asked you a few questions. What are your beliefs? What are if
I
you do believe
I
in
made
person?
Gang said that he did not want to come up right now, so I am going to respect that.
Yeah, and I asked him a few questions, and yet still, what Baram is talking about is conspiracy. But I asked him his beliefs and if he believes in otherworldly entities and like aliens and stuff like that. So if he can answer that in the comments, me and him, both of us can have a conversation.
Mm-hmm. I see Michael Key has entered the live studio. I'm sure he has some questions, because I know this topic came up on Jester's show, and I was kind of cut short. I had to go to work that morning. But if you want to call in, Michael, or if anyone else has any other comments, any questions, yeah. What about yourself, Solid? You've been quiet.
I'm trying to keep up in the chat.
Yeah,
I'm just
thanks
trying to
for
keep.
that. Because
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm trying to keep up in the chat if there's any questions or anything that that people are asking. Um, I Ray, you're at work, correct? Because I would love for you, because she and I are kind of on the same page here. So I would love to hear what she has to say, not in terms of necessarily believing or not, but just just in terms of being open minded, whatever, and willing to listen to all views, and I'm just trying to. There was one question. I'm sorry again. There's just so much in the chat.
what about dude? What have you any more questions or
Yeah.
any you wanted? Because I know you're. Have you looked into the flat Earth theory
Yeah, for
and
sure.
that?
But my story's a lot like yours. Like I tapered off like way back a while ago and kind of was done with it. I
Mhm.
feel like we all have the same like kind of corny internet. So we're basically we're all doing the same research off. We have the access to the same familiar knowledge. But the one thing I
Yeah.
would like to say is, as far as globe goes, this is or a Big Bang Theory as well is like this is somebody's thoughts and creative ideas, not fact. So for not only just to push these ideas as stone cold fact, but to on top of it laugh and kind of slander anybody who has a point of view that's different, or make them feel like fundamentally challenged, or their viewpoints are archaic. I don't. I feel like that's counterproductive to say the least. And
Mhm.
with science as dated as a lot of their theory or law, however you want to say it, is where's their growth, and why are they still landing? Like why are they landing things on Mars now with the old information, even if they've gone as far as to say the distance of the moon has altered. So even if you're not really willing to believe the fact that they've said that the moon is within the Earth's atmosphere, you have to at least recognize the fact that they've changed the distance several times. So
Yeah.
where is it? And I feel like at
Mhm.
90 plus billion, not million, okay? FDA, we're talking millions of dollars. Okay, what goes in your food, in your mouth. This is billions of dollars. And I don't want to hear anything about it being more expensive, because it's more expensive, then go ahead and, I don't know, get it right for once. And another thing, I don't remember this being our mission, anyways. When did we ever draw straws and be like, hey, our goal is to try to explore space? I don't think
Mhm.
so. Last I checked, they're starving kids. So just some things to keep in mind, practical and
Yeah.
purpose, and our ambition and intention. Just don't just I mean, it's like a lump sum of some things to throw out there, but
Mhm.
just to say that's one stone cold way, and to kind of laugh at everything, like, no, we need to still have an open mind. I know what my belief is. I'm going to roll with the Bible stuff, but then again, I could understand where Bomb Rare and you would be like, that could be controlled accusation. I could see that. uh, One thing I found in my 42 years of living is pretty much everything on this Little Rock is a lie for sure. That's for sure. So you tell me. I know
Yeah.
where I'm putting my faith in. And thank you for having me on your program.
No, I appreciate it, and I actually can't believe I left that one out. That's a great point about, the money that NASA receive every year. It could be going to better causes, and that would obviously disappear in answer to Crucible Man's question. If we then, if the media came out tomorrow and said, look, we've made a mistake, we do live on a flat Earth, all that money doesn't go to NASA. That money goes elsewhere, and God knows what they're doing with that money, because they're certainly not giving us new information. And do you guys not find it funny how every president, when they get inaugurated, they're like, we're going to go to space, we're going to go back to the moon, we're going to go to Mars, whatever. And then what you'll find is 6 months before the mission's supposed to start, oh, we've had a mistake, there's been a we failed in our project, or something's gone wrong, and we have to start all over again. It's comical, but that we don't hold them accountable, and that's what happens. So any more, you know
Yes, and I know.
So
If you don't, one more thing, one thing I don't find funny, and that I promise you this, I'm not pandering when I say this, but especially for like African American in our country. So you mean to tell me that they're spending like $100 billion? Okay, do the math on actual adults who could spend that money, especially when you want to break it down to minorities. And here's where I'm going with this. You mean that when they ask a president about reparation pay for Black Americans, okay? You know what you're going to get from them? They're going to like, well, we'll consider talking about it. Oh, you'll consider it? Oh, you'll think about it? What are you going to take a lunch on our dime and think about it with your feet up on the table? But meanwhile, you're going to fly rockets and do what now? No, you all watch too much TV. Do the math. Go ahead and break it down. If you want to say each year and you want to just say each year how many millionaire blacks you could be creating in this country. I just don't want to hear anything other than that. And I'll just leave it there. And we should be irate. That's what I'm saying. We shouldn't even be like having this hypothetical, like lighthearted conversation. We should be like torches and pitchforks. Quite honestly, we should be irate. Um, thank you again.
No, well said, dude. And Maid,
Uh,
I know you've got
yeah,
something to say.
I'm just talking to Gain because All right, so Gain, I just want to ask this one question. Seeing that you're a believer in space and all of that stuff, cool. Why do they always say that they can't pass the Van Halen belt? Why can't they get past that radiation field within above the atmosphere? I would like for you to answer that because that's one of NASA's biggest problem. They can't get past the
Yeah.
Van Halen belt. So, and that's outer space. That's the next level to get outer space. So,
Mhm.
aside from that, yeah, as you're talking about money funding NASA to do dumb shit and not help stop starvation or homelessness. Also, war is one of those big mega funding thing because war isn't like what we all perceive war to be. War is like it's just child's play for them, for the government. And the reason why I say that, because everybody's gonna get offended because people die. Yes, innocent people do die in war. It's not like, all right, how can I put it? For them, war is child play. Casualties of war is just what happens for them to make money. The reason why I say that is if they're gonna go to war, countries are going to go to war. Listen, they have stipulations and rules to war. There are certain weapons you can't use, certain chemicals you can't use. Now, if you're telling me that if we can talk about what weapons or certain things can be used and cannot be used in war, why can't you use that time to dissolve the tension that you guys have? Why can't you use that time instead of talking about, all right, we can't use this type of gun, can't use this type of firepower? Why can't we just sit down and say, okay, what is the problem? How can we solve the issue? So to show you government, there's nothing about the government you can trust. You get me? Government
Uh,
very fucked up.
okay. Can I answer parts of that about especially the Van Helen belt?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Actually, astronauts have successfully gone through the Van Helen belt. Usually, when spaceships go up in space, they usually orbit around it, but they have gone through it. I realize that it's like supposed to be a radiation field or something, and that is true. Now, as far as what the government spends their money on, for me, the bottom line is the government is going to do whatever the government wants to do, and there will always be a group of people, one, two, three, four groups who will always get screwed. So again, the government will do whatever they want, and we have successfully gone through the Van Halen belt.
I'm not so sure about that with all due respect, Solid Blue, because I've gotten mixed reviews we'll have like NASA saying both ways. But then, okay, so this is a genuine question, right? I'm gonna take the risk of sounding dumb here. So you mean to tell me they brought an object back through something that's radiation, and then brought it back into Earth?
I understand what you're saying. No. I mean, no, and I did say I know that it is supposed to be this whole radioactive thing, whatever. But like you just said, it's like, and this is why,
So
when I look at things like flat Earth, COVID, anything that you can go back and forth on. One person can get information from one place, another person can get it from another place, whatever, and it all comes down to what you personally choose to believe. Right now, I'm listening to everything you all are saying. Everything you all are saying is absolutely fascinating to me, but I still think that the Earth tends to be round, but I don't disrespect anything that you all are saying. But again, one person can get info from one place, another person can get it from another place. To me, it all comes down to what you personally choose to think.
All right.
Hey, Ba.
Yeah, go for it.
Just a quick question. It's a general question again. I have struggled with the conspiracy theorist concept. I generally come down not as a conspiracy theorist, although over the past couple of years, some of it's COVID related, some of it's not. I've come around to start to at least be open to conspiracy theory concept. Do you need to be, I know it's probably helpful, but do you need to be a conspiracy theorist to be a believer in flat earth? I'm just curious because I try to get around the conspiracy theories, and some topics lend themselves in my world to a conspiracy theory and others don't. At some point, the logic in me breaks down and I can't get my head around the conspiracy theory thing. So if I'm going to try to embrace flat earth, and I'm going to do some more research on it because I've always been fascinated by it, but now I'm even more fascinated because of this conversation. But can you be a flat earth person if you're not a conspiracy theorist?
I would like to handle this
Oh, yeah.
question if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it, dude.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I would
go for
first
it.
like to encourage getting away from the term conspiracy theory. Why don't, at least for today's program, we can use maybe the term alternative knowledge, unless somebody has a better idea. Another thing to, with all due respect, unpack a little bit. You said that the logic in you cannot palate the rest of the information. But I would like to challenge that again, with all due respect, because I feel maybe that it's not just sound logic; that it could be some brainwashing. Now, I know brainwash is maybe like a harsh word to use. How about this indoctrination? So maybe we can meet each other in the middle in that way. But for the most, I would like to move away from conspiracy theory, and as well, I'd hate to open this can of worms, but that was actually a term created by our favorite friends, the CIA. If that knowledge isn't a lie in itself on the same Google that we all have and the same internet that we're all using. So, thank
you. Yeah, well answered. And just to add to that, no, I don't think you do. What I will say in relation to the term conspiracy theory, you're right. It was the CIA, but I'm proud of that term. I know I've been pulled up for it a few times on my own show. When I interview people, they'll say, "You need to stop calling yourself a conspiracy theorist because that's what they've done. They've controlled the narrative by naming it. So they've named us conspiracy theorists, and now it seems all they need to do on the mainstream is say, conspiracy theorists believe the Earth is flat, or conspiracy theorists believe the election was stolen, or as soon as you say that term, you're throwing a lot of people off, and it could go, it might suit your narrative on this occasion, but in the next occasion, it might be you who's being labeled a conspiracy theorist. So, like I say, I'm pretty proud of being called a conspiracy theorist. I think I'm going to try and move towards the term truther, because it's not just conspiracy theories that I do. It's like, I ask the questions like, how are we here? Who's running our world? What type of people are they? And I mean, even, an example, I'm just now I'm researching about the secret society called Skull and Bones, which George Bush Senior, George Bush Junior, John Kerry, they were members of. What they're all about, and they're like literally fraternities that start in this one started at Yale University in 1832. And to me, the very least that we deserve, or that we should have, is that when some of these men infiltrate the government and end up becoming president, shouldn't we all learn what the Skull and Bones is about, what Freemasons about, what, our Prime Minister Boris Johnson, his wife, just done a play here in the UK, honouring the man Aleister Crowley, who is the well-known Satanic Order of Thelema. He started the cult OTO. He was friends with L. Ron Hubbard, friends with Jack Parsons, and they're occultists and they're into satanic stuff. So to me, shouldn't we learn the mindsets and beliefs behind these cults and belief systems? Because my mindset is, if George Bush is president and he's set an oath and an allegiance to his brothers and he's furthering their, wishes, does he have our best interests at heart, or does he have his own fraternity's best interests at heart? Is he giving the jobs to his brothers instead of the best people for the job? To me, that's like me diluting all this stuff down to like a very basic way that people can understand it. And I think it's only but right. And if you want to call that conspiracy theory, so be it. But over the last couple of years, like I say, I'm very proud of that tag, because with what's happened, it's things that people like me and other people have predicted, that the element of prediction, we knew this day was coming, and to details, like we would all be wearing masks, we would all be not allowed to fly. And, people who don't know that knowledge will try and make excuses and say, but yeah, it needed to happen because we were hit with a virus. But no, we knew about this before it even was mentioned. And we knew about, all the other stuff. So, I mean, it does get deep, but ultimately, if you want to just look into flat earth and just be a flat earther, that doesn't make you a conspiracy theorist. This is esoteric knowledge. It's been out there. Like I said, I don't know if you missed the start of the show, but up until the 1500s, everyone believed the earth was flat. And then the 1500s began, and the Jesuits created the globe earth model using satanic numbers. I mentioned at the start, all the numbers in the globe convert to 666, the speed we spin. Even the tilt, we tilt at 23.4 degrees. Well, you take that away from a right angle, it's 66.6 degrees. I mentioned the spin of the Earth, 1,000 miles a day. That's 66,600 kilometers. The North Pole, the South Pole, the sun. The sun is 93 million miles in circumference. I don't know who measured it, do you? But 93 is Aleister Crowley's number. The Order of Thelema, if you type in OTO into Google, 93 is on the symbol. It's occult numbers. So our globe model is literally made with satanic numbers. The 666, 33, 93. It's all constructed by these secret societies, organizations that have infiltrated our government from way, way back. It's not a new thing. So I don't know if that's it's a bit deep. I wanted to kind of stay on the debate of arguing the facts and figures and things like that. But ultimately, I hope I've stirred a lot of people on to go and maybe look at flat Earth, because to me it's a fun. You could talk about 9/11, you could talk about, the Boston bombing and things where people died, and, they can get really heated, and I understand why. But with flat Earth, nobody died. It's quite fun. It's like the alien theory. Do you believe in aliens? Did you see the UFO sighting? It's fun, and it's also very freeing. So I don't know if there's any last questions that anyone wants to answer, because we're getting to that time. But I've thoroughly enjoyed the chat, and as I say, I've enjoyed it. Dude, Sean, thanks so much for jumping up on the panel and helping me out. And same with you, Maid. Thanks again.
Maid has something that he wants to say.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if, like, gain of all person, because he likes to talk. If you believe in aliens, because you're talking and you never still didn't state what your beliefs are. You're telling me about the spherical earth and all of that. I ask you what are your beliefs, yet still you denied to answer that question. But all right, so funny enough, because I'm just gonna take a long shot. He's one of them who believes in aliens and stuff like that and garden gnomes and whatever. Even though some of those stuff can be related to way back theory. But funny enough, I think it was 2 weeks ago before the World Economic Forum, there was an article that I saw and read about they're making like I don't know how to word it properly, but they're saying like certain entities or people or whatever you want to call them, mutants, aliens, I don't know what to call it. They're making like they're giving them a pass. Like they're saying that they don't have to identify themselves. They don't have to. I don't know, but the government in the government in South America, I don't remember which country it is, gave a set of anomalies or people or entities pass, like to work amongst us, live amongst us. Don't have to like they don't have to do nothing like to describe or to tell them to. I swear to God, I wish I could word it properly, but they give them like full immunity to like work, live amongst us, do whatever they want, and they don't have to present themselves as like an individual or. I'm not talking about like this LGBT thing, like you're non-binary, but it has a factor of being non-binary because that's one of the wording that they use as well. So I'm saying that to say this: there's things going on in this world, and COVID was was like a shadow to cast to bring forth and cast in a lot of stuff that we're not fully aware of, and shit is going down that it's beyond your imagination, and you need to really look into what the government is passing bills. Even they even passed a bill that right now the any cars coming up from I think it was gonna be 2024, the police will have access to shut down that car directly if they're in a pursuit and they want to stop you or something like that. They have an access button within their police squad cars and a button in your car that kills your car dead. They already passed that bill. So any cars you guys are thinking about buying in the future, that's the repercussions of what you're gonna experience. So it's not just the flat earth and it's not just COVID, but things that was within the shadows that was being passed that we have no understanding of and what the repercussions are going to be for us civilians.
Did I just hear chill groan?
Chill, are you there? Have you been paying attention? Have you been paying attention?
Yeah,
Are you there?
I'm here. I'm paying attention.
Hey, chill.
What's
So
up, y'all?
You're being
Mm,
very quiet. What's
yeah, I
happening?
know. I had to I was preoccupied. Unfortunately,
Mhm,
I'm sorry, y'all. I couldn't be as involved as I wanted to today, but I've been for the most part I've been listening for the last about 20 minutes. You know, when I was
mhm,
able to like chime in. The last time I heard y'all calling me, I heard, but I couldn't respond. So um,
mhm.
yeah. So what's up, y'all? I mean, good. This is a hard subject because people who are flat earthers have knowledge, and people who don't care don't have knowledge. So we tend to just listen to people who know knowledge about flat Earth. You know what I'm saying? So if I was to say, hey, let me take a year and just study the concept, I can come out with whatever. I don't really know. Like I don't think we are. I think with the conspiracy stuff, it's a hit and miss. Now we can say like it's just the world for me. Everything is not going to be linked to a conspiracy. I do think the pro is what May says. Just what she says is something is out there that where we just don't understand. I think it goes both ways, especially with conspiracy theories. I've been thinking to myself like, it's too much. We're on the outside looking in. We just guessing anyway. And so typically, one side thinks they know better than the other side, and they're speaking from that kind of soapbox. When I would think Eli is like, all right, yeah, we can either side can speak from whatever soapboxes they want, but don't nobody know shit. Like really, at the end of the day, I mean, we can have an idea, but we may not fathom how bad or not bad something is. We can just guess. You know what I'm saying? We know there may be something. Conspiracies are definitely a real thing because I know. If you just a historian, and in this country, as far as African American, conspiracy is to some degree real. It's not a joke that you know not necessarily even it's just because you're black. It's got to be a bottom class. It's got to be a hierarchy of things, for kingdoms to rule. Like that's just how it goes. And so somebody has to be there, and somebody has to be at the top, and that's just how it goes. And now I do think today society is more psychological, more intangible than ever. And so I definitely think Barium has a lot of credence to what he says. But as far as how far it goes, where it goes, and hey, I seen that Pepsi commercial that had a midget in it and it was a leprechaun in the back, that means 666. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying I really just don't even I could be totally dumb about this stuff. And he could be totally right. But I just do know that I think since we're not really a part of that realm, it's so much we don't know. And who's to say it's all got to be satanic? It may be a faction out there. I think there may be several, right? Several factions. Maybe not all bad. There may be something working for the good, and we don't even know. Kind of like Us. I don't know if y'all ever seen the movie Us. When you think like, all right, we're thinking the enemy is the enemy, but they're really our friends, and we don't even know because we've been like, we'll use the word indoctrinated, right, to think differently. But the problem is just we just don't know, and that's the part that where I kind of get caught up on. Now, as far as flat Earth, I don't know. I just tend to see. I know there's a lot of smarter people in this world than me. Now, maybe they could be indoctrinated, but I would have to necessarily take out the time to figure that out because I haven't. I've never done that, so I can't tell a flat Earth they say they wrong because anybody with an argument can make their argument logical. If you sit up there and talk to somebody that thinks flat Earth is real, you're like, damn, that's it, man. That's not real. Hell yeah, flat Earth, flat Earth gang, blah, blah, blah. And then you sit down and talk to, I don't know, Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's way smarter than me. I don't feel like he has. No, I don't know if he's against. I don't know if he's what's it, in any cult or any type of Freemason status type group. You never know. So I'm like, but he'll talk to you and he'll make you think that everything he says is true. But one things are just for sure. I feel like if in this world you think that we're alone, I don't know if there's not a creator, there's not like another human like intelligence somewhere out there. I don't know. That's to me is just I feel like a given. And I think if you don't think like human arrogance definitely believes that we are the center of the universe and we're here for some reason, and that's what we would make a mistake at. Like if we like other beings aren't here. So for the most part, I just have to search. I have to research flat Earth, and a lot of it makes a whole lot of sense. And I've done for years. I mean, since I was in the military, and 20 years ago, I've had atheism, like a lot of stuff that I didn't grow up with. That was opposite religion, Christianity. I grew up Baptist. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy to me. And so I'm sorry. So I had to fathom it. So I don't cut it off, but I just don't know. Some of it sound crazy, but then some of it don't. So hey man, I'll research some of the stuff y'all was saying. I'll research more and more, but I just gotta be leery of what is it, media, because media can go both ways. It can work both ways and have us duped both ways. And that's the part of my hate being. I just hate being somebody's.
Before anybody goes on, and I know, Crucible, you wanted to say something. I've been paying attention to what people have been saying in the chat, and I've been paying attention to a lot of what Gain has been saying. And for me, he is stating his opinion and what he thinks. So whether or not you agree with someone on this show doesn't have to, whomever it is. I just ask that you respect whatever the person's saying. You don't have to like what they're saying. You don't have to, get on board and have their back with what they're saying. Just respect that people may think differently from you. And I just see a little poking there, and Gain, I have invited him up. He declined, and that is his right. So if he does not want to take the mic, he doesn't have to take the mic. So, and I'm not just saying that to Gain. I'm saying that, in regards to Gain, I'm saying it in regards to everyone. So we have someone in our group who is a mainstay here, and they're not able to. So you don't know what people's situations are or whatever. I just ask that whatever anyone says, instead of poking and pushing them, just accept it and move on. Having said that, Crucible, I know you wanted to say something.
I was going to mention this earlier, and I forgot. And Class One typed something in the chat that sort of jogged my memory. He used the word deception, and that's probably pretty good. As he said in the chat, the Earth might be flat, but what in terms of the level of orchestration, he used the word deception, but you could interchange those words. The level of orchestration / deception that would have to be conducted worldwide in order for this to be true, it just seems implausible to me. There's so many moving parts that would have to be in sync constantly, permanently, in order for this to truly be a flat Earth world. So I guess I'm having trouble getting my head around, that element of it, because I just don't know who would be in a position of that kind of power to orchestrate so many entities and moving parts, governments and municipalities and all kinds of different things so seamlessly that something wouldn't give at some point. And that's where I get hung up. I don't know how or who is capable of an orchestration / deception on the level it would have to be in order for the Earth to be flat.
All right, Bob.
Okay.
Let me hold on. Sorry, Crucible. I heard you. Sorry, Bob. I'm gonna let you finish. I'm gonna let you talk, but you're talking about
No, I'm done. I'm done.
deception.
He's gonna let you.
Yeah, no, but I'm gonna let Bob complete everything. But I was just asking. You're talking about the level of You're talking about the level of deception when we have 9/11, we have the Iraq War, when there were no weapons of mass destruction, there was no planes with the twin towers. Like levels of deception has been throughout time to show. Even World War II with Hitler, there's a lot of things behind it. US aided Germany. Yet still US helped fought against Germany.
Yeah. All right, Maid, I'll just jump in there because we are closing to the end of our show, and I was going to go around the room for last thoughts, but to that, what Crucible Man just said, that is probably one of the hardest ones to answer, and the best way I can answer it is decompartmentalization, which is, I'm not, I'm sure you probably know what that word means, but basically a need to know basis. So you've got guys at NASA, you've maybe got, let's say you've got 1,000 employees. These employees at lower levels probably believe the globe. They're probably doing their work with full belief that they're doing the work needed to get to space. And when it gets to the final edit or final, projects or the higher levels, those are the guys that will know that it's all a facade. And these people are probably, double figures. And, the good analogy I used was, if you guys are familiar with the sitcom Big Bang Theory, and I was watching it one day, and you're Sheldon and Leonard and they're all, going to university on PhDs, funded PhDs, and they're basically being paid to do nothing. They're writing on a whiteboard and realizing it's endless and it's not going to make a difference, and then they're just scrubbing it off again, and they're being funded for an endless something that will never get any further. I'm kind of struggling with that one, but it's like it's people that are being paid to keep the facade and hold the facade together. And again, at the higher levels, you will have Freemasons and these, guys with bonds that'll never be broken. That will. I think this subject could probably lead into the moon landing. I think it's probably that we're probably talking a little bit about, where the men that went to the moon, they're all Freemasons, and it's kind of a secret. It's kind of like kept within. And ultimately, I'm trying to think who would have to know, who would have to lie, because I've already mentioned pilots, and I've already said that most pilots believe that we're living on a flat Earth, or if they don't, they're just not thinking about it, because they're flying at an altitude and they're maintaining that altitude, which means they're parallel to the flat Earth. But they maybe just don't think about it like most of us. We're going to work, coming home and slapping on a bit of TV and having food and going to bed. We're not thinking about what is going on. It's my biggest gripe is that we're going through a pandemic right now that's only happens every 100 years, and no one wants to talk about it. We're not questioning anything. We're not reading up anything. We're not sitting down at nights and researching and looking what's best for us. We're just accepting the mainstream narrative. And I think a lot of people just get by. And when you actually look into this stuff, and to maybe address Chill's comment, it's like when you look into conspiracies, and I think it was Solid that said it as well, every conspiracy is subjective. You can, like you said, Solid, someone could believe one thing and then someone can believe another. But ultimately, where I kind of say that kind of can't work anymore is when there's factual based evidence thrown in. When that person then turns away from that factual based evidence and still decides to believe their opinion, that's where I draw the line. That's where I say, well, you're being dishonest and you're not being true to yourself. You're not being, you're not doing what you should be doing. And throughout my journey, every conspiracy links together in a certain way, and it's all constructed by the same types of people. And it's not just the secret societies. There are other entities that I won't talk about on the show, but it's the whole world. Like someone's already mentioned, I think it was Made, says our world is a lie. We've been lied to since birth, and it's a big reason why you look at your children right now and watch what the children's cartoons are. It's all space and it's all dinosaurs. Every children's cartoon is space and dinosaurs, because they know they have to teach us at those younger years. And it's like dogmas. They're just loading us up with dogmas so that throughout life you see the globe everywhere you turn. It's in your movies, it's on billboards, it's everywhere. And then when someone comes around to you and says, by the way, did you know people believed in flat earth for way longer than people believed in the globe, they think you're silly. And thanks again, Solid Blue, for keeping track of the comments. And again, I have about 30 episodes. I've talked about Rothschild family. I've talked about Boston bombings. I've talked about some serious conspiracy theories where people died, but none of my episodes have received the hate that Flat Earth received. And it's a very well known thing. The Whatcast, who we're having on for Friendly Differences, he has had to turn off the comments on his Flat Earth episode because of the hatred in the comment section. So I didn't want it going that way. I'm glad it was kind of kept at bay. But to me, I don't get it. And that's why I'm kind of stuck on the flat. I'm not stuck on it because I've kind of let it go. I've understood it. I believe it, and I've put it aside. But ultimately, the hatred, it got me thinking. It got me questioning, why is there hatred around a theory that no one died in? And it's quite fun. So I'll go around the room one last time, ask you for your final thoughts, and again, thanks guys for participating, and especially the guys in the comments as well, in the comment section. Yeah. So, dude, are you there?
No, I just would like to thank Solid Blue for having me on, and thank everybody in the panel and down in the chats. It's been, it's been great. And just if you don't mind, I'm kind of with Chill Will. It's like I feel like as a whole, in general, we really don't know diddly squat. So to kind of state, globe and stick to it, and nothing else can even be considered. With I just, I don't think that really serves anybody well. I think we all have questions, whether which side you're on, and I think it would be best to leave those lines of questioning open, rather than just like Bahram you was saying, take somebody else's word for it. Even when it comes down to simple decisions like food in your grocery store, we trust the grocery store and let other people do things for us up to the point to where, now good luck finding real food in the grocery store. So something to think about. Food for thought, pun intended.
Cheers, bud. And Maid, final thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with the dude. Food is a real, authentic food is a rare commodity. Yeah, we don't know anything. But the end of the day, your actions tells a lot, and the government actions are a ton load of fuckery. So, as I said before, anything that opposes the government, I'm all for that. Trust me, because their actions alone speaks volume.
Cheers, bud. And Chill?
Big dog. Yeah, so this is definitely a good show. Get people either engaged. Anything that gets people emotional or getting engaged, I'm all for. And I'm with Solid Blue, my sister. She's already head on because some days it may be you in there standing by your lonesome with a varying opinion and taking the heat. I mean, I'm sure like a guy like I've watched a lot of, especially on the panel, take a lot of heat for being on one side, but then we stand your ground and come back the next day, and I commend everybody for that. That's what I love about y'all. And so just remember, yeah, just obviously be respectful, and keep an open mind when it's things like this involved. Whether how ridiculous it may sound to you, we never know. I just hate being that one with their foot in our mouth at the end, and that goes for both angles, because we could be. I mean, like I said, like even Byram, he says, yeah, we've been flat Earth for more years than not, and so it may be that I don't know if that's proof specifically that is the globe is not spherical just because how long we learned a lot of things. They thought that people used to like with like seizures were signs from God or something, and then science breaks that and say you know what probably not so much. So we're gonna learn some things that are new after years. After technology advances, hopefully we break we uncover some of this stuff. So we still have to be open to that, right? But some things are. I just like to have an open mind. How about that? So always have an open mind. Um, I tend to stay away from stuff that I cannot prove though. Like it's some, like say like May engine of Iraq war. Something definitely, it's something weird about that. Bin Laden's attacks us, then we go after, some, not Bin Laden. So you definitely know something wrong there. But like the details, it's hard to get into the details because I feel like it's a game that's definitely being played that we don't know, we don't understand it, and they may not know that. Hey, that move is the reason why America's comfortable today, and why we're over here talking, or who wherever you at, whatever continent or place you reside, those moves that we made, those are still the moves that we're comfortable from. You know what I'm saying? And maybe we don't like them, but we're still pretty advantageous when it comes to going to work or gaining. You know what I'm saying? Having comfortable sitting in our homes, technology. So we're a part of it. So we're not absolved of it. We're just, I mean, we're sitting in it and we're comfortable. We can talk all the shit we want, but we show enough using this telephone. We show enough using that microwave. We show enough going to that grocery store. When your lazy ass can go out and get a farm, or you can go out and learn about certain things that, it's not that hard to learn some of this stuff, the basic makeup of some of this stuff. So, just know that a lot of times people can stand on it. So you can feel like people can stand on their soapbox, but it's the irony of the other stuff that keeps me in check personally. So it's all about learning, and I'm glad y'all was here, and I caught the end of this.
Awesome, man. Crucible, man. Final thoughts.
The logician in me, resists a lot of this stuff because I can't make it make sense. I'm a logical person, but your strong knowledge base in this area is very compelling. And I got to say, I'm going to do some more research on this thing, as everybody's been echoing. None of us knows for sure, obviously, but when somebody of your caliber, and I'm not blowing smoke right now, with somebody of your caliber, you've obviously spent time on this thing. If I can't, as an open-minded person or somebody who purports to be open-minded, if I can't at least explore this a little bit further based on what you've posited here today, then I'm not an open-minded person. So anyway, great job today, great show, and enjoyed it very much.
Well, thank you, and that's that's all I want to hear from people. I'm not saying you have to go and look into it, but if anyone here tonight has thought that anything that I've said or dude or Maid has said on the panel that's struck interest in you to go and look into it, then I have an episode on it that would maybe get you a start. And then if you want to reach out to me, I could certainly help you in that direction, because I don't want to sound culty, but at the end of the day, the more people that wake up to this knowledge, this esoteric knowledge, and the more people that the rest of the stuff kind of crumbles, and just have fun with it, make it lighthearted. I know this show got a bit deep tonight and talking about secret societies and men in government making decisions for us, and that's not where I wanted to go. I wanted to kind of keep it with the model itself, facts, figures, and how it works. But ultimately, I've really enjoyed, and I really appreciate Solid Blue for allowing me to do this show, because it can be it's conspiracy, and I kind of want to keep that out of this show. The reason I've loved it is because I'm getting back into my political side and expressing my political beliefs and things. And it's hard for me sometimes, because it has been 6 years since I've took the red pill and then took the black pill. And, some of the topics we do, it's hard for me to turn off and take off the tinfoil hat, if you want, and answer questions with a mainstream mind. But again, thanks everyone for joining and helping me out with the show, and the people in the comments, you've been great. So I'll pass the mic to Solid Blue. Thanks, guys.
Well, this was a very interesting topic, and no problem. I asked you if you want to host. I told you can pick your own topic, and that's fine. And I am opening up my Thursdays to invite people to come on if they want to host, as long as they can keep it respectful. So that's the main thing. If you can't keep it that way, then I'm not the person to ask to host a show, but if someone wants to host, I'm more than willing to listen. I did put in the chat friendlydifferences@gmail.com. If you guys are aware of the show that Bahram and I are doing, it is a debate show. And our next show is going to be on April 2nd, where we're going to be talking about COVID, and we already have people lined up for that. But if you're interested in, coming on the panel, send us an email at friendlydifferences@gmail.com. And also, Bahram is starting his own show. Finally, his first show will be on Wednesday, the 30th, right before my show. So, Bahram, do you want to come on and talk a little bit about your show?
Yeah, I've been teasing this for a long time. I've been thinking about it to go along with my own show, which is a pre-recorded podcast that I do, sitting at my desk. I'll record an episode and I'll put it out. But I've only really got about 30 episodes, and I'm thinking a way of how to fill. I've been around for about a year and a half, 2 years now on Podbean, and it takes a lot of guts to start a live show. I think, any shows that I would start that no one would come in, I would probably just end up ending it. So I'm going to stick to it this time. I'm going to start a show. It's going to be every Wednesday night, hopefully, before your show. I'll do maybe an hour and a half before your show. So for anyone in the UK listening, it'll be probably around 7 o'clock. And it will be, I think the concept will be pretty similar to this, a type of debate show with people coming up on the panel, and I'll maybe do the conspiracy theories, or even like topics like, are conspiracy theories harmful, or something that's relevant in the news, something political, and we'll discuss that. So yeah, I'm a bit nervous, but I'll do my work and I'll get my notes ready, and hopefully you guys will come in and support me, and yeah, that'll be half the battle.
Well, but Bahram, I'm sure you'll have more people on your first show than I had on mine. I mean, it takes time, to build an audience. And, I mean, you have the people who come every day, and then you have the people who show up, depending upon what the topic is. But I don't think you'll have any problem. Before I go on, Tuttles, he has something to say, and Tuttles very rarely takes the time to come up. So Tuttles.
What up,
I was just gonna say to Bahram something that might work out better for him, and I'm not trying to change his direction at all. But if he did like an after show after the Solid Blue Sisters show, he would already have like a pre-predicted bunch of people, guests, to like follow him over to the next show that sometimes might be like a follow up to the Solid Blue Sisters show kind of thing. It might be like
that was something I did want to do, but with the time difference,
There's the time difference, yeah.
So I'm in the UK, so Solid's show typically finishes around 11 p.m. and I'm ready for my bed. and I think also
okay. Yeah.
the Michael Key show starts pretty soon after, so I wouldn't want to step on anyone's toes. I think pre Solid Blue show, there's really nobody on. So I think that's better. But yeah, I appreciate
See, that's
that.
your problem.
That was
You're
I
not
mean, the
American,
only
Bob.
the only other thing that I would suggest is, I mean, because my show is Monday through Friday. If you want to do, I mean, I'm sorry, Monday through Thursday. So if you're worried about stepping on people's toes or anything, then because there's on Friday there's hardly nothing on. So, do something on Friday. Like
And
I
I
just
also hate to put it this way, Guy, but don't worry too much about stepping on people's toes around here, because on
true.
Podbean, people won't hesitate to step on your toes. Trust me.
That's
I
true.
learned
Well,
that
and I
That's
told him
the
true.
that.
hard way.
I
This
told
is
Bob
yeah.
that
true.
too. Yeah, sound
Like,
Yeah,
familiar.
Chill
That's how
said
it
that.
goes,
Yeah.
man.
I had a show, I
And
paid money to
yeah,
be on here, and I had a slot that was nobody was there. And then the first week I had the show, all of a sudden, like 3 other people popped up with their own shows at the exact same time slot. So
Okay.
but it's only once a week, so that's what I'm telling you. Like Michael's on, whenever he wants to come on. A lot of times, so I'm pretty sure he wouldn't mind you being there. And also, if you just move to California, you won't have this problem. First of all, I'm tired of your shit. Just go ahead and move to California, and then you won't have to. And then also, I'm going to bring the drug. I'm gonna support you as long as I can bring the drugs and the weed and all of that in the show. We're gonna be all. We're gonna
Of
be.
course.
thanks for
Don't
having
tempt
me
me,
up. I
Will.
gotta get back to my supper stuff. I just
Of
wanted
course,
to make
Tuttles, you're
a
always cooking.
suggestion. Just a little bit easier than trying to text all that
Yeah.
on here. So great show,
Appreciate it,
guys.
Tuttles.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Yeah.
All right. So, and then the other thing I wanted to say is, an hour or 2 hours before my show today, Balram and I were actually recording just a chat between the two of us, and because a lot of times, after a show ends or whatever, Balram and I, we'll hook up on Zoom or whatever, and we'll start talking, and we're like, we should have recorded this. I mean, we have the things that Balram and I go back and forth about because we're so different on so many things. So we did do a show that we are going to put on this weekend, so you guys can, if you guys want to check that out. And we also want to invite people to come on where it's just the two of us and maybe
Nice.
one other person Excuse me, Chill, you were one of the people that we were talking about that we wanted to
Uh,
have, where one of our roundtables where it was the three of us where we were
Well, I
talking,
see you in
whatever.
15
So
minutes. I see y'all in 15
see,
minutes. 15 minutes. I see
see,
you.
but there's a lot of stuff that that Bahram and I want to do that we hope that you guys will be open to. So again, if you guys are interested in coming on the show, it's not on Podbean. We do go live, so people will see you, and we'll have it open where we stream live on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube, so people can chat live during the show, and we can answer those questions and what have you. So again, friendlydifferences@gmail.com if you are interested in coming on. Again, we just ask that you keep it on a respectful mode. So on that note, Bob, do you have anything else before I start the music?
No, just a last thank you to everyone. And, since I've came on the show, I've had a lot of support and a lot of people finding me on social media and adding me on there. So, it's just really humbling. And everyone on here has just been so great. So thank you again for letting me host your show, Solid Blue. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you all soon.
All right. And on that note, everyone, enjoy the rest of your day or evening, no matter where you are in the world, and go where the wind takes you. Bye. Good
Hold on, I got a
show,
question. I
Bob.
got a question. I don't know. I
Yeah.
got a question.
Now you have
Where
a
do
question.
babies come from? Where do babies come from?
Chill, you sure you don't want to host the show again?
Well, I want to do. Why can't I do a show on 6 a.m. Sunday?
6
a.m. Sunday.
Excuse me, that's 6 a.m. That's Cleveland
We're gonna
time.
talk about the Lord. We're gonna talk about the Lord.
If I want to hear about the Lord, I can turn on Podbean and get all the Lord shows.
We all going to hell. We ain't had not one show about Jesus.
Excuse me.
He loves us though.
Yes, we
okay.
have.
Okay.
We've
I ain't
had
been a
Jesus shows.
He loves you all. We love you all. That's awesome though. Awesome show, y'all. It's a really awesome show. And I have such a good time. And bro, don't worry about it. Big Don told you, man. Just do your thing, bro.
I know.
Be awesome. Don't let nobody stop your shine. Just be awesome.
Yeah,
true.
Cheers, bud. I appreciate it.
Right on.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think I'll just have to move to California.
See?
Yeah, I don't know what you've been playing around. You've been playing around.
Your in-laws are here, so see?